If you've searched anything about fixing your credit, you've probably typed some version of the same question into Google. How long is this actually going to take? And every article you find gives you the same non-answer. It depends. Results vary. Be patient. Here's the problem with that. You don't need patience. You need a timeline, something real you can actually plan your life around. So today, we're not doing vague. We're doing exact. I'm walking you through the real timeline, week by week, based on what's actually happening behind the scenes at the credit bureaus. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to expect in month 1, month 2, and beyond, and why some people see movement in 3 weeks, while others wait 3 months for the same result. Part 1. Why? It depends is actually true, but not useless. Let's start with why every article says the same vague thing, because it genuinely does depend on a few specific factors. But once you know what those factors are, the vagueness disappears. The first factor is how many negative items you're dealing with. One late payment from 2 years ago is a completely different repair job than 5 collections, 2 charge-offs, and a repossession. More items means more separate investigations, and investigations run in parallel, but they don't all finish at the same time. The second factor is the age of the negative item. Older items are sometimes easier to remove because the original creditor may no longer have complete records, and if they can't verify it, it has to come off. Newer items are often better documented, which can make them slower to dispute successfully. The third factor is which bureau you're dealing with. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are not the same company. They don't talk to each other, and they don't move at the same speed. It's entirely normal to see a dispute resolve at one bureau in 3 weeks, and the identical dispute still sitting open at another bureau a month later. The fourth factor, and this is the one nobody talks about, is your existing positive credit history. If you have other accounts reporting well, positive payment history, reasonable utilization, your score often responds faster to the removal of a negative item because there's a stronger positive foundation underneath it. So when someone says, "It depends," this is what they actually mean. Not that it's unknowable, just that it's specific to your file. Part 2. The real timeline, week by week. Now, let's build the actual timeline. Week 1 is submission. This is the week you send your dispute letters, whether to the bureaus directly or to the original creditor. By law, once a bureau receives your dispute, they have 30 days to investigate. Some people don't realize this clock doesn't start until the bureau confirms receipt, so mailing with tracking or using certified mail matters more than people think. This week, nothing changes on your report yet. You're simply starting the clock. Weeks 2 through 4 are investigation. Behind the scenes, the bureau sends your dispute to the creditor or collection agency that reported the item. That company has to verify the debt is accurate, or it has to come off your report entirely. This is where most of the real work happens, and it's invisible to you. Your score won't move yet. This is normal. This is not a sign anything is wrong. Around day 30 to 35, you should receive a response. This is usually the first moment something actually changes. Either the item is verified and stays, the item is removed because it couldn't be verified, or the item is updated because it was reporting incorrect information. This is typically when people see their first real movement, somewhere between 30 and 45 days in. If the item is removed, your score can jump noticeably within days of that update reporting. If the item stays because it was verified, this is where a second round of disputes, sometimes with new evidence or a direct goodwill request to the creditor, becomes the next move. Months 2 through 3 are the second wave. This is where more complex items come into play. Collections that require debt validation requests. Charge-offs where you're negotiating pay for delete agreements. Items where the first dispute came back verified and you're building a stronger case for round 2. This is typically where consumers with more complicated files start seeing the bulk of their real improvement, because round 1 clears out the easy wins and round 2 tackles what's left. By month 3 to 4, most straightforward credit files have seen their major movement. Simple files, 1 or 2 items, no collections, often resolve faster, sometimes within the first 30 to 60 days. Complex files, multiple collections, charge-offs, or older debts sold to different agencies often take the full 90 days or slightly beyond to see their full potential play out. Part 3. What actually speeds this up? Here's what most guides skip entirely. There are things within your control that genuinely shorten this timeline, and they have nothing to do with the dispute letters themselves. The fastest lever you can pull is utilization. If you're carrying high balances relative to your limits, paying those down can move your score within a single reporting cycle, often 30 days or less, completely separate from any dispute outcome. This is the one thing you can do today that doesn't require waiting on anyone else. The second lever is accuracy on submission. A huge number of disputes get delayed simply because they're incomplete. Missing account numbers, unclear reasoning, no supporting documents. A precise, well-documented dispute moves through investigation faster than a vague one, because the bureau and creditor have everything they need without back and forth. The third lever is checking all 3 bureaus, not just one. Over 75% of credit reports contain some kind of error, and those errors are rarely identical across all 3 bureaus. If you only dispute with one bureau, you may be leaving score improvement sitting untouched at the other 2. The fourth lever is patience with the right expectation. This sounds contradictory after everything I just said, but it matters. The consumers who get frustrated and stop the process at day 20, assuming nothing is happening, are the ones who never see the day 35 result that was already in motion. Understanding the actual timeline is what allows you to stay consistent through the part where nothing visibly changes yet. So here's the honest answer to how long this takes. For a simple file, expect initial movement in 30 to 45 days, with resolution often complete within 60 to 90. For a complex file, expect the same initial window for your first round, but plan for a second and sometimes third round, stretching the full picture to 3 to 6 months. That is not a company being evasive with you. That is the actual mechanical timeline of how the dispute process works. Now that you know it, you're not waiting in the dark anymore. You know what week 1 looks like. You know why week 3 feels like nothing is happening when everything is happening. And you know exactly which levers are yours to pull today, starting with utilization, while the rest of the process runs in the background. This is Credit Clarity. We'll see you in the next one.